Well, it's the start of a new day. You can see the sun just starting to make its way up. And this is North Texas, and we're headed right into Oklahoma, see if anything is in Oklahoma. I've never been in Oklahoma, and you don't hear much about it when it comes to scenery, so hopefully I'm going to be surprised. But the day is off to a great start. If you can see this, there should be one of these right here. Someone obviously hit the bike when it was parked last night. Disappointing, but there's nothing I can do about it until I get home. It's not that big a deal, actually, when it comes down to it. I can fix that. I mean, it can be fixed. You can just buy a whole new replacement thing. But for a ride, it's not that big a deal because bikers don't have blind spots. I just have to. I already just turned my head, so the mirror's not a big deal.
Here, I'm right near what they call the Panhandle, and you know, this is a spot where you do get quite nervous, especially when riding, because it's not known for much of anything. The Panhandle is not it's kind of interesting and exciting history on kind of how Oklahoma got that little tab, and it was because of the slavery couldn't be above, so Texas ceded it to Oklahoma. But really, when you kind of get down to it, there's not a lot here. I don't think there's much film of it, but as I was running around, I came across another, humongous, wind farm, which, one is nice, but a plethora of them are kind of an eyesore. And the other thing is, when it's flat, when it's really, really flat, where there's no undulation, no even small hills, and there is nothing on the horizon, just kind of grass. Wow, steel your nerves and just ride on, because it can be difficult to kind of keep your focus and be like, oh God. Luckily there were some areas that did break it up, and you can see some of them as I kind of passed through some of these areas. And this is just this is still Texas, but you can still see there is some, so it does break it up. It does keep a little interest, and it didn't make it a complete bore fest. And my hope is that there was some history to see, and some of the small towns did have some stuff to look at and some stuff to see.
Here we are at the Roberts County Museum in Miami, Texas. Where the Miami Railroad Department started. Got a train coming through. They're big, they're loud, and they're everywhere. One thing you gotta give it Texas, they really do embrace it throughout the state. No matter where you are, they really kind of love up the fact that they're Texas, and you are there. I wish I could learn more, but the museum is closed at the moment.
museum that's not open is not uncommon to bump into. A lot of these museums are just kind of, slightly ran. I mean, they're not open all the time, and they're in small towns, but when they operate almost on donations, so, not that unusual. The next thing is, like, when you gonna hit Oklahoma? When you gonna hit Oklahoma? Because I hadn't been in Oklahoma up until this point.
So here I am. I'm closing in on the Texas-Oklahoma border. And you can tell I'm in the grasslands. The huge fields that kind of go right up and down the middle of the country where it's just grassland. So I'm enjoying it, and I stopped at this historical marker for a wagon train battle, which apparently a little to the south and the east. I mean, I guess this is the road that's not on private land. But apparently 95 soldiers led a wagon train, and they were attacked by like 400 Comanche, and they were able to hold them off for 5 days before reinforcements could arrive. So just enjoying the grasslands. I am happy it got a little nicer, because just looking at the flat farmland really sucked.
So at least that was some interesting history. And then moving into Oklahoma, you don't hear much about any bikers. When they talk about Oklahoma, they talk about, it took me so long to get through Oklahoma. So I didn't know what the back roads of Oklahoma would be. Maybe I'd bump into a lot of historical markers. As it would, I would not. The vast majority of what I would bump into would be like, just kind of what you see here, a lot of ranches. A lot of little trees, so it was broken up, wasn't completely flat, and plenty of Indian reservations or Indian stops and stuff. I saw plenty of Cherokee, a few other names, Nez Perce, whatnot, stuff that, people, the names I can't pronounce, but kind of going around, you saw that. The one thing that did pop up a bunch, and there's a thing of it like here and there. Now there's one better later, as of the oil drills, the oil derricks, and I did ask about those. And how those basically work down is this: the oil companies don't actually own the land. The oil companies actually lease the land from whoever owns it, and then they put up the oil derrick, which they maintain, which they take the oil off, or whatever it is, or if it's fracking, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what fracking would look like on the surface. They take it all, and they just send the people a stipend or proceeds of what they take off their land, per whatever year, 6 months. And since some of these people make pretty good monies by having like one or two of these derricks on their property, you kind of got to be careful when you talk about the price of gas or alternate energies or anything like that, because you could be talking about like 5 figures of their livelihood. You're kind of talking about, so always talking respectful tones if you're going to talk about the oil derricks, or how they don't mind you saying they're unsightly, but if you start saying we shouldn't be having them, they might take a little offense to that. So that's just one of those important little tidbits as you kind of pass through the area that you gotta pay attention to. But as it is, the real thing, this wasn't that bad.
So here I am at the Lucky Star Casino, which I have no interest in going in. It's the Cheney and Arapaho, whatever tribes, of Oklahoma. So I am on an Indian reservation. Why am I here? The cheap gas. $3.05 for premium. Regular is $2.40? Something like that. I get the premium because the engine actually runs a whole lot better on premium gasoline. I actually get a lot better miles per gallon. I did the calculations on how much miles per gallon I get with premium versus how much I get with regular. And it actually works out that I actually save money by getting the premium. But Lucky Star, oh well. If I was hungry, maybe I'd stop for a bite to eat, but I am not hungry. And it's starting to get hot.
And the reason I say it wasn't that bad is basically because it was broken up enough. There is some kind of like, some wilderness, some parks or whatnot. You can kind of see around a lot more, and it was real new to me. So I was heading off into Oklahoma City, and I eventually got there. But right here is that one of those oil derricks that I was talking about. And push comes to shove. If I had a number of acres of land, I wouldn't mind leasing out, to an oil or gas company and getting paid like 5 figures a year just for giving up like a half acre. Would work for me.